I'd like to thank Livia in particular for inviting me to speak here today, to make it possible. I'm here among my heroes, Dr. Jenkins, Jenny Brand-Miller, and it's hard to follow Dr. Vuxan's act. You know, he is the most entertaining scientist I've ever met, and he keeps us on our toes. I'm humbled to have the opportunity to present our experience of low GI to such an august group of scientists and researchers. And as advocates of low glycemic lifestyle and nutrition, each of you are more knowledgeable than I and well-versed with the challenges and time it takes to turn society into a different direction. I've been asked to share with you our experience as a small company, as if you like, a case study. And as I just mentioned to someone before, I bet my life and business on low GI, so I'm very committed to it. And we work every day on the front line dealing with it. So I hope some of the insights I can share with you from our perspective give you something to take away that is new. I think John talked about a problem he had with his wife, and she's a Unilever, and he has a conflict. So I did have a conflict with my wife as well, but it's a different kind of conflict and has to do with the GI. My wife bought me a personalized license plate, Low GI, because that's our company name. And she couldn't understand why women kept pulling up in their cars and, you know, and winking at me. And we both figured out one day that, you know, they thought I was a solo guy, right? And that's how much consumers know about solo GI or low GI. So she hid the license plate. Now, I don't know if this is moving forward. I started, I actually have 2 law degrees, but I wanted to do something important with my life. So I left law to start a functional food research and development company with the University of Alberta Hospitals as my joint venture partner. At that time, the byword in the food industry was convenience. And companies were focusing on developing convenient, nutritional, portable foods that people could drive with one hand and eat with the other. But I didn't like the kind of foods that they were developing, and I thought we could scientifically formulate foods to focus on the benefits of food and eliminate the negative aspects by combining different ingredients and working back from the end user and develop foods to bridge the between meal gap, that chronic time when people are grabbing something that's not good for them, and provide them a healthy alternative substitute. The National Research Council of Canada funded our work for some 14 years. And we developed bars mostly for large companies. And they didn't always pay us our royalties either, and our manufacturers stole our formulations. And one of the technologies we thought we developed, or we developed along the way, was in blood sugar management. I had approached Dr. Wolliver some 18 years ago or so because I wanted to use his protocols with Dr. Jenkins to develop a pioneering line of bars to help people manage their blood sugar, focusing on diabetes in particular, to move people's needs from the medicine cabinet to the kitchen cabinet, if you like, and focusing on prevention. I wanted to develop a bar that could bridge the between meal gap, providing sustained energy, preventing the physiological spike, crash, and crave, providing a well-balanced nutritional product, satiety, to carry them to their next meal so they'd be satiated and they wouldn't eat so much. And I wanted to use real carbohydrates. Other food companies and pharmaceutical companies use sugar alcohols to minimize the blood sugar impact or artificial sweeteners, but I thought that negated the benefit of providing real carbs that could be released slowly to provide sustained energy for people. And I adopted a mission, and that is to, for people to consider the blood sugar impact as well as the nutritional content when selecting a food or beverage. I think, in my mind, that's equally important for people to consider these days, that blood sugar really helps to sustain energy, manage weight, and prevent disease. So my mission is really to get out there and to educate the public. And I'm a little confused today, actually, because I thought I was going to hear everyone get up and say low glycemic is just the best thing, right? Blood sugar management is so important. As scientists, you are very particular. You can't say anything until you prove it, and your reputation stands on that, and you want to be responsible for society, and I can understand that. But I'm not overwhelmed today. I'm kind of a little confused, so I just want to share that with you from an industry perspective. And then my guys at the table over there told me that energy, low glycemic energy, low glycemic can't sustain energy. You don't get energy that sustains from keeping your blood sugar nice and steady and avoiding those peaks and valleys. So I'm really confused now. I wanted to develop these low glycemic, clinically validated bars to be great tasting, so they'd be an easy substitute for whatever people were eating, whether they're 3 or 90, and be like a Trojan horse to get the benefits into them without sacrificing on the indulgence. So we asked our food scientists along the way to make sure that they tasted better than any candy bar, nutrition bar. Well, I launched Solo Bar at the height of Atkins around 2004 in the US. Atkins was tracking about $850 million, and those in cardiac health were complaining that Atkins isn't the right way to go, and I had discovered low glycemic. We had developed a bar line, and I thought, from what I understood, low carb is not sustainable. You could fool your body because of nature to lose some quick weight, but really low glycemic is sustainable for life, and it's the right way to go. And I thought we could springboard off of Atkins and show that low glycemic is much better. It's really the key. So we vertically integrated our R&D company and launched Solo into the marketplace. And I thought we could identify who the early adopters would be. Would they be people who are looking for blood sugar management control, diabetes, weight management, athletes for sustained energy or healthy living? But it was all of those, actually. During that time, our bar was used in various studies, 2 studies by Dr. Ludwig. The polycystic ovary syndrome study is out for publication, I understand. So we were really pleased to see our bars picked up, and then I found out why they loved using our bars. First of all, they were clinically validated, low glycemic, they were nutritionally balanced and responsible, but great tasting, so they helped with compliance. People said, instead of eating more lentils, can I have another Solo bar? So they stayed for the duration of the study, and they were able to complete them, so they were very pleased with that. Our bars are the only bars in Canada recommended by McGill's CHIP program, their comprehensive health and program as well. And Dr. Stephen Grover from the Faculty of Medicine used our bars in a study with the Canadian military, a fitness challenge that was reported last October in Vancouver at the Canadian Cardiovascular Congress. We have great supporters. I just received a nomination for an Aztec Award in Alberta last week, and both Dr. Lewanchuk, who's the medical director basically for Alberta, and Dr. David Lau, who is the editor-in-chief of the Canadian Journal of Diabetes, gave me 2-page very strong support letters, as did Arya Sharma, who was the science director of the Canadian Obesity Network. Now, from that, I got really pumped. Right here, we have people in endocrinology, obesity, saying this is a great product. Low glycemic is really important. And then I come here and I'm kind of, I haven't heard anything really exciting to lift me up, to keep me going. I'm a business guy, right? And this is my passion, so I need energy and enthusiasm that I'm on the right track, because I don't want to sell anything to people that I can't believe in. I do have integrity, believe it or not. So what challenges, do we have? On the front line, it's really tough, because our bar is clinically validated low glycemic, used in a study by the National Institutes of Health with children with diabetes, another study by Dr. Ludwig with overweight pregnant women to prevent gestational diabetes, clinically validated low GI. Even the Canadian Diabetes Association said we could become a proud sponsor if we give them $50,000. So I think, that makes me believe that our product is good for people with diabetes to help them manage their blood sugar. And then, though, when people go to the pharmacist and they want to buy a bar and they bring our bar to the counter and they say, could I eat this bar? We have perhaps 17 or 19 grams of sugar on the label from fruit puree and brown rice syrup and honey. And he says, no, you can't eat that. And a lot of people with diabetes, they see too much sugar on a label and they don't want to take a chance. And out of abundance of caution, pharmacists are saying, no, I wouldn't eat that. I can only recommend things with under 10 grams of sugar. And then we have well-meaning moms and gatekeepers, who are reading and learning and listening to the media. And, and here we have a young lady saying the World Health Organization, recommends adults and children reduce their intake to less than 10 and 5% respectively. And I can't buy this. There's too much sugar in it. And then there's those who are confused. We do have GI Labs service mark on our bar. Each of our bars is clinically validated between 23 and 35, depending on the flavor, and we have 8 flavors. But there's it's kind of counterintuitive when they see, low glycemic, yet it may have 19 grams of sugar on the label, and with all this other concern over sugar, people are really confused. And our challenge is compounded, of course, more recently, by the great sugar scare. And I say, we have to refine kind of the sugar concern. We have to help to explain to people that not all carbs are bad. The good ones are hopefully low glycemic. But consumers, they feel wrong. They've been told to switch from fat to carbs, and now they're being told to get off of carbs, So they're very confused, and they don't know where to turn. They really need people they could turn to and trust to give them proper information. When I read the WHO recommendations, I understood a little more than what I heard in the media. The WHO recommendations are to reduce our sugar intake by 10%, and when you read it, it talks about free sugar, particularly in beverages, that provide excess calories, that drive these epidemics, don't promote satiety, and don't promote a healthy diet. So that's a lot more information that would be helpful to explain to people that the corollary of that is maybe something like our bar that is nutritionally balanced, it has protein, it has fiber that mitigates the excursion of sugar into the bloodstream. We have inulin, our product that slows gastric emptying. So really, they're concerned about free empty calories, but when you bind it up with fiber and protein, it slows the release of sugar and also promotes satiety. But it does hurt us because when people see reduce your sugar intake and they see sugar in our bars, they're very confused. They don't know that if you have a whole type of meal, it's not too bad. So, we're weighed down with a lot of these issues that make it even more difficult for low glycemic to move forward, but yet the need is greater than ever to help address these interlinked epidemics. And I was concerned and with the talk by Alfred Aziz, because where's the benefit and the risk here? What is the harm with low glycemic? It seems to me most people could understand that if they allow for slow release of sugar into the bloodstream, that's okay, that you don't eliminate carbs, but you manage carbs, right? And the only scientific measurement of how a carb impacts your blood sugar is the glycemic index, and the notion of simple and complex are gone because the glycemic index is the true measurement. So in my mind, that's what we should be telling people if that is the truth, right? Let's get it out there so they could make informed decisions. There's so many products out there that aren't good. Why can't we get our product out there and educate the public that this is a better for you product? And consumers are now they don't trust anyone anymore. They don't trust big food companies. They don't trust farmers. They don't trust government. So they're going to simple ingredients, they're going to raw, they're going to non-GMO, but what are the tangible benefits of that? Those are kind of intangible compared to the tangible benefit of developing a serious product that is clinically validated, low glycemic, and addressing the serious issues of obesity and diabetes. The food guide recommends choose at least half of your grain products as whole grains, but there's consumer confusion as to what constitutes whole grain, even in my family. So we see whole grain bread, whole grain flour, but what is the, are those really released or digested and really slowly into the bloodstream? There appears to be a lack of consensus on glycemic index recommendations due to misguided belief that the concept is not foolproof or difficult for consumers to understand and apply. However, the Agri report and Tom Wooliver's research and Jenny Brand-Miller's work suggest that people can be taught with the simple claim that the product will help keep your blood sugar stable. Consumers can understand, that kind of statement. Low glycemic might be a bit too technical for them. No one wants to eat a low glycemic food, but they might understand, slow carbs. Now, I truly believe, and I've seen this at conferences where dietitians who are sponsored by big food companies get up and they say, well, low glycemic, it's not really yet proven. You need longer term research. And if you just want to make something low glycemic, put a couple of spoons of sugar into it. And this is at the American Diabetic Annual Conference. And all the diabetic educators in the forum, booed, like, put sugar into food to make it low glycemic. That's, I don't believe in low glycemic. That's, that can't be good for people. So they have these defensive strategies that they use because Atkins really hurt big food. And low glycemic was on its heel. And it would have been a 1-2 punch. And if you were cynical, you might say that big food companies have people with PhDs who try to get people to eat more of their food, like the Spike, Crash, and Crave, and would not be supportive of low glycemic because they haven't incorporated low glycemic in their product development. The timelines to market would be too long. The cost would be too long. There's a bottleneck at the labs. So they're not into that. They like the Spike, Crash, and Crave because it fattens their bottom line, along with the public. Now that might be a cynical view, but it's a small business view, and I've seen it happen. Educating the public on low GI foods, how to choose them, labeling foods as low GI, would encourage food companies to develop these products, responsible, science-based products that help people manage their blood sugar, and cut down on the healthcare spending and improve the quality of life of countless numbers of people. It's too costly not to educate the public on this. We need to work together as healthcare providers and scientists and researchers and business to provide action-based practical tips that the public can use. And who's going to educate? If big food doesn't educate the public, they have the resources, they have the budgets, it has to be commercially, has to make sense to them, but it's really up to Health Canada to change the regulations and help to educate the public as to the benefits of low glycemic nutrition. And then for the dietitians of Canada, to educate the public as to the benefits of low glycemic nutrition. As a small company, trying to move the tribe, into a different direction and make a difference, we soldier on, but the tribe is rooted in the status quo. It likes to stay where it is, so it takes innovative small companies perhaps to raise the bar in the food industry. We also know that innovation, by its definition, takes time, and that the outsiders become the insiders. And with this in mind, working together, we'll persevere to move society, hopefully, to a healthier and low GI place, no matter how many challenges we face. Thank you very much.